Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodehold. People of God, what's the good news? Jesus still rules. That's just exactly the point of Ascension Day. Christmas usually gets all the glory with tales of angels and shepherds and mangers and stars, and the warmth of God's love and how He sent a Savior to be one of us, to be God with us. Well, it fills our hearts with joy. Easter, too, is a great and grand celebration, a day when we rejoice in the victory we are given in the cross and the empty tomb. Christmas is the day of God with us. Easter is the day of victory and salvation. But this Thursday is Ascension Day, the day when Jesus returns to heaven in glory and power. It's the day that tells us without a doubt that Jesus still rules. You know, it's hard to imagine that this day few of us pay any attention to can be so significant. I mean, we celebrate Christmas with a beautiful candlelight worship service. And on Easter, we might get up before dawn for a moving and inspiring sunrise service. But on Thursday, none of us go to any effort to find a cloudy mountain somewhere so that we could remember and honor this event in the life of Jesus. Why not? And really, what's so important about Jesus stepping on a cloud and going off into heaven anyway? Well, I guess it really starts with the question. It starts with the question the disciples asked Jesus that day out there on the Mount of Olives. The text says it like this: Lord, is this the time when you will restore the kingdom to Israel? Now, when we first look at it, that's not really a question that gets us very excited. And probably most of us think that if we were in the presence of the risen Son of God, we could come up with a better question than that. But then again, maybe not, because here's what they're really asking. They've gone out on that mountain with Jesus, having been with him repeatedly over the last 40 days, and knowing that he is truly the Messiah, truly God's Son, the Savior of the world. And so they ask, Lord, is now the time when you are going to come in power and change the world into what it should be? Boy, we know just how they feel, don't we? There's a lot of wrong in our world that needs to be made right. And sometimes in the face of it all, we hunger for Jesus to come in power. We long for God to come and transform our world, to come and make it his. We know just how those disciples feel, don't we? And that's why this day is so important. Because in the face of a world that just doesn't measure up to what it should be, we need to know Jesus still rules. When our lives are torn apart by family problems and conflicts, we need to know Jesus still rules. When we carry the heavy weight of financial burdens and difficulties, we need to know Jesus still rules. When we struggle with the daily stresses of life, we need to know Jesus still rules. In the face of illnesses with names that frighten us, or the death of someone near and dear, we need to remember Jesus still rules. When our lives are trapped in a well of divorce and loneliness and we see no way out, we need to remember Jesus still rules. When our world is touched by events like school shootings and violence and crime, we need to remember Jesus still rules. When those close to us respond in harsh words and we go day after day with hurt feelings and heartache, we need to realize Jesus still rules. When our lives are full of conflict and anger and bitterness toward others around us, we need to realize Jesus still rules. When all we feel is lost and hopeless with no idea where to turn or what to do, and it doesn't appear that it will ever get better, we need to realize Jesus still rules. When our world falls apart, when day after day is met with failed expectations and there's chaos all around, we need to hear Jesus still rules. People of God, that's what the ascension is all about. It's about Jesus ruling in power and in glory. It's about Jesus giving us grace and blessing. It's about finding in our lives something to cling to, finding love and hope. It's a day we don't often notice or think about, but it's one of the most important days of them all. For no matter what happens here, no matter what happens to us, there's one thing we can be sure of, one thing that never fails. Jesus still rules. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.